National Geographic reporter Bryan Christy has written extensively on the illegal ivory trade, including an in-depth cover story just last year. He is in Philadelphia. Good morning to you, Bryan.
Good morning, Vanita.
So why new restrictions this week?
Well, we're seeing unprecedented levels of killing of elephants in Africa. There's an elephant killed every 15 minutes now, and it's bloody. The people who protect them are being killed. And the U.S. government has decided to try to close a major loophole that's operated in the United States, that's enabled, even though there has been a ban, as you mentioned, since 1989 on international trade. There's been no real regulation of the sale of ivory inside the United States. So you've been able to walk the streets of New York or San Francisco or even Philadelphia and find ivory for sale. And if you're a cop and you think that might be illegal ivory, and you go into one of those shops and say, I think your ivory is illegal, the first thing that the ivory seller will say to you is, no, mine is antique.
Right. So, Bryan, does this effectively change the new regulations? Do they effectively change the burden of proof now?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it shifts the burden of proof from the government to the holder of the ivory to prove that any ivory they have is antique.
So how will this affect sports hunters? Because in the past, they were able to bring this stuff over. How do they now, or what do they have to do to prove that it is, in fact, an antique?
Well, sports hunters get different treatment. Sports hunters, up till now, have been able to bring in lots, people may be surprised to know, lots of elephant heads as trophies. This new rule will limit sports hunters to 2 elephant heads a year.
And Bryan, we mentioned China in the story preceding you. I mean, is that essentially what's driving this resurgence in the killing of elephants? Absolutely.
China, I mean, it's good what the United States is doing, but China is most of the problem by far. And what makes China so unusual is the growth, the boom of its middle class, purchasing power, but also that the Chinese government is in the ivory business. The Chinese government owns the world's largest ivory carving factory and owns retail shops. And until that changes, the elephant's not safe.
You know, listening to you, it's obvious that these American rules for governing the trade are complex, and they're also unequally enforced. So will these restrictions that are just in the U.S. really change what's happening here?
Well, that's the purpose of these new rules. You're exactly right. They've been unequally enforced, and there's been a real burden on cops to figure out what the rules are. This is going to shift. By shifting the burden of proof, cops are given an advantage in this fight.
All right, Bryan Christy, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for doing this.